Konnichiwa, this is the Shogunstein, and this is how to set up the base game Vinyl. Vinyl is a game, this is the base game, it's a series of games in the Vinyl series. It is from Talon Strikes Studios, and this is a reprint with new art of the Vinyl game, and then there were all kinds of expansions that came in the Kickstarter pledge, including a two-player version, which was Vinyl Jukebox, a holiday version, and all different kinds of expansions with different genres. This is a game that we originally owned, and then we pledged on Kickstarter for the all-in big band edition, and it came a few weeks ago, and we're going to show you how to set up the two-player version of the base game using the collection records and not the easy listening, which is more for a basic game. And we're going to show you how to set up for two players, and two players has some changes from the regular setup because you're going to do some things that make it more like a four-player setup. And just in the interest of full disclosure, even though that I purchased this through Kickstarter, I backed the whole all-in pledge for Jukebox. I do know the people at Talon Strikes, and I have done some colorblind consulting and some rulebook editing and some playtesting for them. So even though I did purchase this with my own money, I do know the people at Talon Strikes. They're local here in Arizona. So in the interest of full disclosure, I do have a relationship with Talon Strikes Studios. Now, board gaming is a hobby that has a lot of different types of games, but a lot of games have like teams like cowboys and pirates or zombies or Vikings. Music is an underrepresented theme, I feel, in board gaming. So one of the reasons that I love the Vinyl series is it is music based. The theme is music and going through records, and that's something that I loved doing as a kid. I love music today, of course. I'm into the Pandorify, Tidal Prime, everything with the streaming. But back when I was a kid growing up on Long Island, living in Levittown, I remember going to the record stores, such as Record World in TSS on Hempstead Turnpike, or over to Super Stuff, which was further down Hempstead Turnpike by the Nassau Mall, or buying records at the Tri-County Flea Market, and then later, when I could actually drive as a teen, going over to Titus Oaks, which I think was over in Hicksville. And again, I'm not talking about going to Barnes & Noble or Target and buying a record. I'm talking an actual record store where you would go through these stacks of records like I'm doing here, which again is very thematic. I think it's an underrepresented theme in music. We need more games that have this music theme, and vinyl just has that feel of going into a record store. And again, I can't fully remember, but when I was a little kid, like elementary school, my first record was either REO Speedwagon High Infidelity or Jon Stewart Bombs Away Dream Babies, which might as well have been a Fleetwood Mac record. But one of those two was one of my first two records, and then shortly after that was probably Pete Townsend, Empty Glass, or All the Best Cowboys Have Chinese Eyes by Pete Townsend. One of those records. But my first two was either, again, REO Speedwagon or Jon Stewart. So love records, love music. So let's talk about how this game is set up. First, you're going to put the board in the middle of the table, and what's nice is the setup here is fairly quick. There's not a lot of excess. There's a lot of games out there, especially Kickstarter, and again, this was a Kickstarter. Sometimes it comes with way too much stuff, and it takes up too much time to set up and too much space on your table. Not the case here. So we got the board set up, and again, this has some revised art from the original game, which came out a couple years ago. Now, if you didn't back the Kickstarter and you can find the original game, you should go for it. It's a good game. So if that's the only version you can find, you'll be fine with the original base game. All right, so then you're going to decide in terms of your scoring and collection. You got to decide whether or not you're going to use the easy listening, which is sort of a basic, or you're going to use the regular collection rewards. Now you do this, you got to make sure you mix. You got different types. You got mixed, double mixed, and pure. So you want to make sure you separate the stacks. You want to make sure that you separate it by the length of the record, and then also each one, the sooner you get it, the more points they have. So you want to put the higher scoring ones on the top. So again, you're going to make sure you have the mix right, double mix, and pure, and then you make sure you have the record length. So tree 4 5, tree 4 5, tree 4 5, and you want to make sure that you have the highest scoring one on the top for the setup. And again, you're going to have 9 stacks. They're going to be equal. And again, make sure you can see the victory point number on the top. Make sure you separate the colors. Again, colorblind, no real issues here. Even though this color is a little close to this, again, this is double mix, this is mixed, so you don't have to rely on the color. You can go by the text. Okay, now here's the fun thing, because the albums are all original. It's kind of neat to look at, and I believe some of these albums are based on pictures and suggestions from some of the Kickstarter backers. But what you're going to do is you have a big stack of cards, or that are the albums, and again, you are going to shuffle them up, and you are going to fill up the board. You're going to be putting 20 spaces, which is columns for the record bin. So you got the record bin, and then you have the sales bin. You want to make sure that each column has the same genre. There's the genre right here. So you can see the genre. So you want to make sure you have that. You want to make sure you got that all set up. You want to make sure that you have, again, the same genre in each row. Okay, so again, you're going to have 20 there. And again, this last row, this last on the bottom, is considered the sales bin. Okay, so again, that's going to be 20. So again, record bin, sales bin. So we got that all set up. Now, again, this is, since we set this up for 2 players, this is very thematic to what it used to be like to go through the stacks. This used to be, it'd be like the letter, it'd be like A, and you go through here, and you go through, or B, I'd be looking for big country to crossing. So you had to go like alphabetical, you had to know the alphabet. So you're going to set up the your little record stack here, your little record bin. So for a 2 to 4 player game, you're going to take the remaining albums. So again, you use 20 albums here, and what you're going to do is you're going to divide them evenly into stacks equal to the number of players. Now again, since we're doing a 2-player game, we're going to do it like it's a 4-player game. So that's 4 stacks, and you're going to place the store closing divider here, and then the other stacks are separated by the salesperson divider. And you're going to again, so you put all that into the crate. Next, you're going to place 1 stack of albums into the album crate in front of the store closing divider. Then you're going to do a salesperson divider, and then you're going to continue to put in more albums and alternate stacks of records and the salesperson dividers. Okay, and you want to make sure that, again, just like in the record store, the records went in front of the divider. So again, you want to have the first thing is an album, not a salesperson card. Just again, like I'm in Record World, or I'm at Sam Goody's over at the Walt Whitman Mall. That would be how it was set up. Okay, now each player is going to get a meeple, and you're going to get a player card here. You're going to get a card. Now, in a 2-player game, you're going to take 2 meeples. And again, you want to make sure the meeples match the color. There you go. So you get a meeple, and you got your player board. And again, in the 2-player, you want to get 2 meeples, and that's going to, again, in the actual gameplay for 2 players, there's going to be some slight changes, as you're going to have 2 meeples instead of 1. Now, each player, now you got to decide who's going to get the first player token. So again, if you've ever seen a 45 record, you know what this is. if you've had a turntable, there's the first player marker. In this case, you're going to decide who the first player is based on who most recently listened to music. Now, in this household, that's going to be me. I don't want to even go into how many hours and minutes on my Pandorify Prime Title Last FM, when they did the Wrapped, how many minutes that I spent on there. So you're going to decide who goes first. And then the last thing you want to do, not the last thing, second last thing you want to do is the magazines. So you're going to have magazine cards, and this is where has a little bit like, almost like Ticket to Ride here. So you're going to have magazines, and the first player is going to get 5, and again, a 2-player game. The second player is going to get 6 magazines, and what you're going to do is you're going to have a hand. Now, when you're going through this, you want to make sure you don't have any that say wild here. If you have any wild, you're going to put them back into the deck and pick a different one. Then you're going to take the rest of the magazines, and again, here's the back on all the magazines. You're going to take a pile of magazines here, and you're going to turn over the first 4 cards. And you are going to have again, you're going to have a deck of them, and that's going to be on, you can be able to see what's coming up next also. So you're going to have the stack of cards, and then you're going to have 4 cards in the row there, ready to go, and those are the magazines. Again, see, that's the wild you want. In your starting hand, you can't have one of those wild cards. And the last thing you're going to do is, this is going to be for some endgame scoring, is your loyalty card. You're going to get 3 at the beginning. You're going to narrow it down to 2. You're going to get rid of the third one, so you're going to look at them, get rid of the third one, and then throughout the game, you'll have some options about whether or not you can have 2 loyalty cards during the game. That's it. So, and you'll have some opportunities during the game to be able to change them out. But at the most, you can have 2 loyalty cards. So at the beginning, you're going to have 3. You're going to look at them and discard 1 and keep 2 to start. So that's the setup for a 2-player game of Vinyl. And again, this is just the base. We have all kinds of expansions that you can use, and it's just the all-in pledge has so much vinyl that there's so much content there. To be honest, I probably wouldn't need another game for quite a while. Now, of course, unfortunately, with board gaming, that's not going to be the case. But there is a ton of content. And we really haven't even fully dug into all the expansions because we've been having fun with the Jukebox, which is the 2-player version, which, me and Little Shogunstein enjoy, which reminds me, instead of, going through the record bin, it's like I'm at the Plainview Diner on a Friday night, getting a cheeseburger deluxe going through the Jukebox. There's also, it was just the holidays, there's a holiday edition of Vinyl also. So check out Talon Strikes Vinyl. This is how to set up a 2-player game with the base game. And again, Happy New Year, everyone. Shogunstein out.